Good evening, everybody, and welcome to our Thursday night Anamkara meditation program. With all my heart, with all my love, I welcome you to our program this evening. I'm so delighted you were able to join us. This evening, we're going to get into more of a kind of Dharma talk and talk about practices and some of the underlying understanding related to those. What we've been doing just to get started with is in order to give our mind an opportunity to just kind of calm down and become centered and present, make use of a very simple practice that combines breathing and an ancient mantra. The ancient mantra is simply 2 syllables, aham. And that mantra means I am. Just the bare awareness of I am. So it's the foundational awareness of being, of simply being. And it said that that mantra, that throb of the infinite that takes the sound form of the mantra, aham, is going on silently with the breath all the time. That the breath comes in with the sound ah and goes out with the sound hum. Just silently. Ah as the breath is coming in and hum as the breath is going out. And it's there as an invitation as we become conscious of sort of tuning into that, to come to that awareness of simply being. Letting go of all the things that typically come after I am. That might be our moods, our thoughts, our feelings, whatever's going on after I am, we let it all go. Because that's where the spaciousness of simply being, purely being, really is the spaciousness of meditative mind, the deep meditation. That's where that rests, in that awareness of pure being. Even beyond sound forms. The sound form itself is an opening to go beyond sound. The bare awareness is the opening to go beyond all movements of mind. So that's what we're making use of as we do this. And we combine it very simply with the breath and the harmonium. And so the breath comes in with that silent ah that we're just listening for, and the breath goes out with the silent hum that we're just listening for. And we just come to rest in that. And so you'll hear it. That's the ah as the breath comes in, and then hum as the breath goes out. Ah, silently as the breath comes in, and hum silently as the breath goes out. As the breath is coming in, as the breath is going out. And just continuing to breathe and allow that awareness to remain in the background awareness of simply being. That one way that we begin to integrate what the meditative mind is, the awareness that's beyond being limited by the mind and what it identifies with. We bring it into every day, every moment, by coming back to that pure, spacious awareness of being. That's where then the wisdom of what that experience is begins to really unfold. And as part of what we're going to be getting into tonight is some different ways that we can talk about that or think about that, but more importantly, to go beyond all those concepts. And so one of the things I wanted to be talking about has to do with, actually what we often refer to as the Great Mother, the Divine Mother. And many traditions worship, honor, revere the Divine Mother. In the yogic tradition, she's the source of all. Everything comes through her. Right? That's Mahakaliyantra. And that black bindu at the very center is the portal through which everything pours into the manifest world and into which everything dissolves when we go beyond that in meditation. In the Tibetan Buddhist tradition, we have tankas and statues that represent the divine feminine, the Great Mother. And same in Christian tradition, the Divine Mother, the Great Mother Mary. Shekinah in the Jewish tradition. The feminine face of the infinite, the feminine face of the divine, can be seen across all traditions. And it is particularly evocative for us because with that connection to the Divine Mother comes the devotion, comes the love, comes a lot of things beyond just concepts. But it's also important to understand that even those, from a meditative perspective, are still limiting forms. Delightful, they invoke wonderful qualities in our heart and in our mind that we want to be able to be attuned to and live into the world. But we're also talking about in the profound depths of meditation, how does one go beyond all of that? Because even the most glorious form is still a form. Even the most glorious form of the mother is still a form. Meister Eckhart, a great Christian mystic, when he talked about what is the last obstacle to God, he said it's God. And what he meant was the concept of God, the understanding that the mind holds of what this divine transcendence is, so far beyond any conceptual thinking. And so a lot of the traditions also aim at how do we go beyond that? That, yes, we delight in pure forms, in inspiring forms. And what's beyond? What's beyond even that? How do we go farther and farther? And a practice that we've done many times as a part of our Anamkara programs has been chanting the Heart Sutra from the Buddhist tradition. The Heart Sutra is an expression of Buddha mind that Buddha passed on and has been used as a foundational text for understanding and going beyond understanding. And the Heart Sutra, though it's often referred to simply as the Heart Sutra, the real name of the Heart Sutra is the Bhagavati Prajnaparamita Hridayam. Mahabhagavati refers to the Divine Mother. Mahabhagavati means the great goddess. And so when we're talking about what gives birth, and the Heart Sutra was a way of Buddha trying to convey what's beyond the mind. But of course, words always flounder there. These are always wind up being words trying to point beyond themselves. This is why we use symbols so often, because symbols point beyond themselves. So they're always an invitation, go beyond, right? So in the Bhagavati Prajnaparamita Hridayam, and Bhagavati, the great goddess, Prajnaparamita, that's the profound wisdom. Right? So it's the profound wisdom, the great goddess of profound wisdom. And this is the Heart Sutra, the Hridayam Sutra. And it's pointing us towards this whole other understanding of the mother. Because what Buddha is revealing and talks about in the Heart Sutra is the nature of that which gives birth to all Buddhas. In other words, it's that which gives birth to you, to your Buddha nature, to your highest enlightened awareness, pristine, beyond all. Right? So these texts are always pointing, go there, right? Even if they're full of words, even if it's a whole sutra full of words, you'll see they're all words trying to point beyond what they are. So consider this as I read the Heart Sutra aloud. So the Bhagavati Prajnaparamita Hridaya Sutra, the great goddess, mother of all Buddhas, the Heart Sutra of Transcendental Wisdom. And in it, this is Buddhist passage to all beings, giving this to everyone. Avalokiteshvara, Bodhisattva, coursing through deep Prajnaparamita, clearly saw that all five skandhas are empty, transforming all suffering and distress. The five skandhas are a way of talking about the how to look at the heaps of things in our ordinary consciousness, like senses, memory, limited consciousness. These are the five skandhas, means heaps or clumps. So he's pointing out, when you start to see from the pure wisdom of your infinite being, you see the entire play of all the things of the mind, which are also reflections of all the things in the world. They're empty. What are they empty of? Because they certainly seem like they're full of themselves. So what he's talking about is they're empty of independent existence. They're all interdependent. They arise with limited consciousness, and the forms are bound to that. So he says, you clearly saw that all five skandhas are empty, transforming all suffering and distress. Shariputra, form is no other than emptiness. Emptiness, no other than form. Form is exactly emptiness. Emptiness exactly form. Sensation, thought, impulse, consciousness are also like this. All empty. All this dance between form and emptiness. Shariputra, all things are marked by emptiness, not born, not destroyed, not stained, not pure, without gain, without loss. Therefore, in emptiness, there is no form, no sensation, thought, impulse, consciousness, no eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, no color, sound, smell, taste, touch, or object of thought, no realm of sight to no realm of thought, no ignorance, and also no ending of ignorance, to no old age and death, and also no ending of old age and death. No suffering, and also no source of suffering, no annihilation, no path, no wisdom, also no attainment. Having nothing to attain, bodhisattvas live Prajnaparamita. They live this transcendental wisdom with no hindrance in the mind, no hindrance, thus no fear. Far beyond delusive thinking, they attain complete nirvana, complete extinguishment of all cravings. That's what nirvana is. All Buddhas, past, present, and future, live Prajnaparamita and thus attain anuttara samyak sambuddhi. So it's this. They live this they live the direct experience of that. Therefore, know that Prajnaparamita is the great mantra, the wisdom mantra, the unsurpassed mantra, the supreme mantra, which completely removes all suffering. This is truth, not deception. Therefore, set forth the Prajnaparamita mantra. Set forth this mantra and say, Gate, Gate, Paragate, Parasamgate, Bodhi, Swaha. That's the summary mantra of the whole Heart Sutra. Gate, gate, paragate, parasamgate, bodhi, swaha. Means gone, gone, gone beyond, completely beyond. Hail the goer, the bodhisattva, the Buddha mind, awakening, swaha, so mote it be. That is the mother of all Buddhas, that understanding. Right? And it's unapproachable by words. And so what Buddha goes through is negating. It's very similar to in non-dual Vedanta, in Advaita Vedanta, where we'll use a self-inquiry process of asking, who am I? And then whatever arises, it's not that. So neti neti is the sort of the mantra of that lineage, to negate anything that comes up, anything the mind can conceive of, anything the mind can say me, to not it, not it, not it at all, right? And so what he's talking about as the mother of all Buddhas is this profound transcendental wisdom, ineffable, inexpressible, beyond all the things that we would identify. Not even your eye, your ear, and your nose, your tongue, nothing that the ordinary mind clings to say, I am this. Wait a minute, you can't fool me. I'm this. No. So the meditative practice is to enter and plumb the very depths of what that is. That's what it's expressed, and often expressed again symbolically. So in the Mahakalyantara, the black bindu at the very center, why is it black? Because it's total mystery to the mind. The mind can't penetrate it with its vision. To go into it, well, then we discover it's self-luminous, but not in the ways of the mind. What's there can't even be said, can't be translated into anything the mind can hold, grasp, or anything else. So these are the very depths of meditation that the practices, whether we're focusing on posture and breath, focusing on mantra. So here in the Heart Sutra, he's saying, no, the Prajnaparamita is the great mantra, the wisdom mantra, the unsurpassed mantra. Mantra. What's mantra? Mantra means that which protects. Mantra is a throb of the infinite. Mantra is, at root, pure consciousness itself, dancing in these word forms to try and take us beyond words. What does it protect us from when we say the mantra protects? Whether that's Om Namah Shivaya, whether that's Om Kali Ma, whether that's the Mahaprajnaparamita Hridaya Sutra. It's protecting us from ignorance and getting stuck in ignorance. What is ignorance? Wrong identification. Identification with the limited sense of the conventional mind. Now we have to put on that garb of the ordinary mind to function in this ordinary world, but we can have it informed just as we can have that background awareness of simply being, that we're not being just the mind, just this thought, just this feeling, just this memory, just this identity, just this history, just the stuff we went through in this lifetime, all the things that the mind clings to and cobbles together as an identity. It serves it in the world. Some of them don't serve it in the world, and they really do need to be dissolved even on that level. But to know, to truly know the infinitude of being, we have to go beyond all of that. And that's what the practices invite us to do. That's what all the great sages and saints of all the traditions invite us to do. To know that, yes, we can make use of these implements, mantras, yantras, various tankas, various practices. But the wisdom, they're beyond all of that. They'll take us more and more into the depths of stillness. They'll take us more and more into a place where we don't feel compelled to move with every movement of the mind. We don't feel compelled to identify with every movement of the body. Because that's what we see. That's what you see when you sit and watch the mind. A thought arises. It becomes the thought. A feeling arises. It becomes the feeling. That's the little ahamkara. That's that little I maker turning everything into some I, including experiences in meditation. Because if there's an experience, that means there's an experiencer and the experience. That's still the limited domain of duality. No matter how sublime and exalted that is still within the realm of duality. What's beyond that? The experiencer, the experience, they merge. They merge. And then there's nothing to speak of anymore. Words flounder. The mind becomes silent, humbled at last that it can't enter this domain. That's what it means, that black bindu. It's a portal the mind can't enter. And you see that kind of symbol over and over again in different traditions. So that's where practices are aimed at taking us. Right? And what's important, especially in the yogic tradition, in the Buddhist tradition, in all the mystic traditions, East and West, is the direct experience of that. We don't rely on, Buddha experienced that 2,500 years ago. Christ lived in that consciousness 2,000 years ago. Shankaracharya lived in that 1,000 years ago. That's not good enough. All yogis, it's here and now. What's our experience here and now? We want to know this fully here and now. And then it informs our lives so we can live that into the world effortlessly, because we know that's the truth of who we are and the truth of what all beings and all creation is. We come home to that. And there's a wonderful text from the Tibetan Buddhist tradition called Songs of Spiritual Experience. You may want to have that in your library. It's a great text. And it's Tibetan Buddhist poems of insight and awakening. And there's a foreword from the Dalai Lama. And it's writings from various great Tibetan Buddhist masters and their realization over centuries. In other words, coming home to know this for themselves. Not about learning a dogma, learning a doctrine, learning a philosophy. They're irrelevant. It's the direct experience. That's what we want. That's what it's pointing to. And this is one of these songs of enlightenment from a great enlightened Tibetan Buddhist master from the 18th century, Chankya Rilpe Dorje. And it's called Recognizing My Mother. So again, coming back to Mother. Emaho, it starts. You who reveal the naked wonders of profound dependent nature, O Guru, your kindness is boundless. Kindly reside in my heart as I utter 3 spontaneous lines from the thoughts flashing through my mind. This lunatic child who lost his mother long ago will soon learn by pure chance that he just failed to recognize her. She was with him all along. Perhaps mother is the yes and no of emptiness, as whispered to me by my father, dependent origination. All duality is mother's benign smile, the cycle of life and death, her verbal display. So all symbolic language. The mother is Prajnaparamita, this transcendental wisdom. The father, the understanding of this dependent origination, that nothing has a solid existence in and of itself. That's what he's pointing to in these kinds of verses. Always truthful mother, you have fooled me. I now seek salvation through my Father's love, yet ultimately it is in you alone that I can hope for freedom. It's in that transcendental wisdom. If the world is really what it seems to be, even Buddhas of the 3 times cannot save me. But this world of diversity and change is actually my changeless mother's moods, so I can hope for freedom. Inexpressibly, mother unfixed in any way or any place, deceptively, depending on things everywhere. This dependence alone has deep meaning. Not finding Father, my cause, when sought, is, in fact, the finding of Mother. And lo, Father is found in Mother's lap. This is how the parents create us, I'm told. So he's doing this play back and forth between these 2 aspects of wisdom, inviting us to go into that state where we're beyond the mind and looking at the play of form and emptiness, that they're the same. The mother and the father, they're all the same. But the wisdom that holds that illumines that, is free of any of that drama of form and emptiness. It seems that my father's mirror reflected nakedly in my mother's face, which is neither one nor many. Yet it's not obvious to a lunatic like me. Based on the instructions sent through the wind by masters Nagarjuna and Chandrakirti, I am spared by the light of insight the hardship of long and arduous search. So I hope to see my ever-present mother. So that even the teachings are helping, but he knows that even the teachings take us beyond teachings. Then he goes through a number of ways of talking about the different schools of Tibetan Buddhist thought and how they still are reflective of concepts. And that we have to go beyond that. And so he says, though imagined, the innate mind dawns, Kagyu meditators, you need not protest. Since the absence of dualism is fully accepted, you hardened logicians need not fret. So it's not that we don't accept that non-dualism is it, but non-dualism can be just a concept as well. We have to go beyond the concept. What's the direct living experience of that? Well, there's no experiencer and experience. That's dualistic. Where do we merge into what is fully beyond? He goes on to say, perhaps all this divergence evolved due to unfamiliarity of standard conventions by those who lack extensive learning. It's not that I do not respect you. Please forgive me if I have offended. Though I am not omniscient, yet I possess the expertise in skillfully riding the well-bred horse of my forefathers' works. Through an enduring, joyful exertion, I aspire to cross the impassable cliff. No search is required, for the seeker is it. No search is required, for the seeker is it. Never grasp it as real, for it is false. Yet this lie need not be resisted, for it is true. Worthy indeed is this relaxation, the freedom from two extremes. Though lacking in coveted experience of directly seeing the mother's face, I feel as though I see in front of me the kind parents so long lost. Great indeed is the compassion of Nagarjuna and his disciples. Now, in return, I venerate them. I venerate my mother. Right? So it's going beyond all the concepts of all the different schools of thought, appreciating for how they can support one. He's saying he rides the well-bred horse of his forefathers. It means he's talking about the wisdom concepts. He rides them, but he's not bound by them. He knows that the reality goes beyond them. And that's what we need to be doing as we deepen our meditation, is how do we go beyond it all? Gate, gate, paragate, parasamgate, bodhi, swaha. That's the invitation to go and go further and further. Gate, gate, gone beyond it all. Now, these days there's a phrase that's often played with, and it's a simple phrase. You may have heard it. So it comes out of the Buddhist tradition: no mud, no lotus. The mud is earthly, worldly existence. The lotus is the flowering of Buddha mind, of boundless awareness, of sahaja samadhi, of living the highest samadhi. No mud, no lotus. No mud, no lotus. And so that's often repeated as a way of saying, oh, you can't. It's like form and emptiness. So there's a poem related to that. And it's just, look up. No mud, no lotus. No mud, no lotus. No mud, no lotus. Very nice. Now, look up. What illumines mud and lotus? No sun, no mud, no lotus. The self-luminous one reveals the emptiness of the five skandhas. O Bhagavati, words fail. Your love alone lights the moon. Again, have to go into our symbolic thinking capacities, right? Because symbols are pointing beyond themselves. Who's the luminous one? What's the awareness that allows us to perceive? Right? What's the awareness that illumines the five skandhas, that illumines the mud, the lotus? These are all concepts, these are all images. They're being illuminated by awareness itself. Oh, Bhagavati, that's Bhagavati, Prajnaparamita. That's that transcendental wisdom that sees it all and illuminates that. So Bhagavati is that in this poem, the great wisdom mother, mother of all Buddhas. Now the moon, in the Eastern traditions, the moon is also symbolic of the illumined mind. Now the illumined mind, it's important to understand the symbol of the moon. The moon only shines, even in its fullness, even in its most brilliant capacity, it shines by the reflected light of the sun. The luminous, the self-luminous one, that's what we're aimed at. But the luminous mind is filled with that light. And it's that love that is knowing, wisdom, that is the great mother. So that's what we're headed into, to go beyond, farther and farther beyond. But then we come to rest in Mother's lap, as the great Tibetan Buddhist master said, coming home to that. So we enter the dark. That's why we have the symbol of the Mahakali Yantra with that black bindu, when she appears that way. It's that invitation. It's the womb and the tomb. It's the portal into what's beyond. That's where mantra emanates from. That's where mantra draws us back to. That's why those practices can take us beyond the mind. Because mantra isn't mind born, it's born of the infinite. And so to dissolve in mantra is to dissolve back into that. And then we enter the dark. There's a poem on that. Into the dark, her dark, mind silenced effortlessly, its dancing little flame blown out by her breath, drowned in her love. We expend so much energy in petty pursuits, chasing our tails, conflicted over this or that desire with this or that person or group, dancing our petty dance on an illusory cloud we think is solid ground, suspended over an ocean, an infinite ocean of love, of compassion, of emptiness. In an instant, you can let go of the illusion, drop through the cloud, and go plop into the ocean. You are free right now. If we just drop all conceptual identification, all that, right there, even beyond that, that awareness is always present in its fullness. The mind doesn't create that. The practices of meditation don't create that. It is always fully, completely developed and present here and now in every moment. Practices, they're really only aimed at getting the mind out of the way. So this infinite spaciousness of the sky of awareness takes us. We know that. And then the ordinary mind emerges again out of that. Form emerges out of emptiness, dissolves into emptiness, comes back. Then we just see it as a play. It's Mother's play. Right? It's the play of taking on form and dissolving forms. It's the play of arising as a mantra and dissolving the mind into stillness. That's what we engage. And that's what we're going to do now through the chant of the mantra. We're going to be chanting a mantra both to Kali, Om Kali Ma, Kali Durga Namo Namah, Kali, the great mother, black in her mysterious form. And then Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Shivaya Nama Om. Shiva, the auspicious one, the witness. Beyond, who just is that consciousness, watching the play of his beloved Kali, the play of the universe, and then dissolving them into their unitive embrace, beyond words, beyond mind, beyond experiencer and experience, but go into that. So we're going to chant for a few minutes, and then we'll sit in the stillness. In the stillness, if you want to keep bringing your mind back to the mantra, or back to the simple awareness of aham, or the bare awareness of being. No thoughts, no concepts. Rest there. At the end of meditation, we'll ring a gong and chant a few rounds of mantra to come to the end of the program. So now we'll begin. Om Kalima Om Kalima Kali Durga Namo Namah Kali Durga Namo Om Namah Shivaya Om Namah Shivaya Shivaya Namah Shivaya Namah Om Kalima Om Kalima Kali Durga Namo Namah Kali Durga Namo Namah Om Namah Shivaya Om Namah Shivaya Shivaya Namah Shivaya Namah Om Kalima Om Kalima Kali Durga Namo Kali Durga Namo Namah Om Namah Shivaya Om Namah Shivaya Shivaya Namah Shivaya Namah Om Kalima Om Kalima Kali Durga Namo Kali Durga Namo Namah Om Namah Shivaya Om Namah Shivaya Shivaya Namah Shivaya Namah breathing and letting go. Simply aware. An awareness, becoming aware of its infinite, boundless nature. Absorbing the mind, absorbing all experience, dissolving them in the loving grace of that one, the truth of who you are. Kalima, Kali Durga Namo Namah, Kali Durga Namo Namah, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Shivaya Namah Om, Shivaya Namah Om. We end with this prayer. And may all our practices truly benefit everyone. And may all beings know complete freedom from suffering. Namaste. And we keep coming back to the Mother, the Divine Mother, the Great Mother. In this month where so many traditions are celebrating, important holidays, origins, the birth, the rebirth of light, the birth of light into the world, all comes through the Mother. Sustaining the light, all comes through the Mother. One form or another, that's what we're delighting in. So when we start to understand that and see, this is all the revelation of the Mother, all her delightful play, and that the awareness, this Prajnaparamita, this sublime, transcendent awareness that is the Mother of that state, is always present here and now, always an invitation to allow us to rest in the lap of that awareness. Because the suffering comes through identification with the mind, not the existence of the mind. The mind can't affect us just on its own. We have to get identified with it. Then we're caught in the snare of the mind. So the practices keep inviting us, let go and let go, detached and aware. Come home more and more into that, dissolving into that, beyond words, beyond ideas, beyond experiencer and experienced. So that it then is also that experience is clarifying the mind, purifying it of contractions, old patterns it gets stuck in. We want the mind to get free as well. So that luminous awareness, self-luminous, is what clarifies the mind and helps it to know that freedom directly. So I want to thank you all for being ones who do practices, who are committed to practices, and live then that wisdom, the gifts of wisdom that come through your own practices, and live them into the world at a time when it's so desperately needed. So thank you for doing that. And thank you for coming this evening and bringing your sublime, divine, infinite self, your commitment to practices, the power of that, and sharing that with the Sangha this evening. And thank you for the ways that you support Anamkara, sharing our e-newsletter and making donations. And we're just here to try and keep the lights on in the world as you do in your ways, and share that as broadly as we can. So thank you for helping us with that. And I look forward to seeing you then in 2 weeks. So.